1. This happened over the summer of 2018, when I worked as a cashier at a large home improvement company. They had really good benefits and bonuses, which is why I stayed for almost a full year. I enjoyed most of the customers, but this story is one of the many as to why I quit and left retail altogether. A bit of backstory. My store's cashier setup used to be a row of tills, and then in the self-checkouts there was also a till. So pretty much the person who was stuck at this till would ring customers up and have to maintain the self-checkouts. This caused a lot of stress, and honestly, our self-checkouts sucked and broke down constantly. So when we were busy, it was a nightmare. To alleviate this problem, they took out the till and left the self-checkouts. We still rang people through the self-checkouts using our scanners and bagging their items whenever possible. I still don't think they anticipated the backlash this caused, and whatever your opinion is on self-checkout, the behavior that followed was not okay. For the first several months after this change, the amount of people that swore at us, spat at us, and had to call managers so they could yell at them was honestly mind-blowing to me, especially since all they had to do was use the pin pad. We would still typically scan and bag their items for them to provide excellent customer service. They would also now always keep another till open. Before, you would often be working alone with a till and all 4 self-checkouts. Then, when they switched it over, they decided to keep an extra till open just for customers who preferred tills. Now on to the main story. This happened after things had begun settling down with the self-checkouts. There had been no till for several months now, and most people knew. We still scanned in larger purchases for customers, but overall, everyone scanned their own items. This gentleman, around 50, walks up to my counter and places the items down on it. I smile and greet him and inform him that I'm no longer a till, but I'd be happy to assist him and ring him through the self-checkouts. Angry customer, AC, grumbles at me a "sure, whatever." I bring his items to the self-checkout, and I begin scanning all his items, making small talk. We get to the end of the purchase, and all he has to do is insert his card into the chip reader. I had completed everything for him up until that point, and he lost it on me, saying he didn't want to use the "stupid self-checkout, it's too complicated, take me to a till." I calmly explained to him that all he needed to do was present his card and follow the instructions on the pin pad, and that all the pin pads for the self-checkouts and the tills were the exact same. I also told him that there was a till right beside me he could go to if he was more comfortable with that. I could see him getting more aggravated, but the other self-checkouts needed my attention, so I left him to decide if he wanted to pay or wait in line for a till. When I came back to him, he had his arms crossed and a smirk on his face. He told me gleefully, "I'm not paying." What? His items totaled between $100 to $200. I explained to him that I couldn't do that for free, but I could offer a discount for his troubles. We were allowed to offer discounts of up to $50, something about empowering ourselves. He repeated that he wasn't paying and that I couldn't make him. I asked him again to pay or I would need to cancel his order as other people were waiting to use the self-checkouts. He told me to cancel his order. So that's what I did. I hit cancel. It flashed up on his screen and he grabbed his items off the self-checkout bench and threw them at me, storming out. The nice customer behind him helped me pick everything up, muttering about what a baby the AC was. And since NC was so nice, I gave them a discount instead. I went and talked to my manager afterwards about what happened, but they had gotten so used to this behavior they just shrugged it off. I quit not too long after, as I had a job offer come through that was in the field I wanted to be in. 2. Me and my dad get mistaken for store clerks all the time. It's like a family trait at this point. Dad mostly gets asked about where items are because he knows about the secret stash drawers under the display. I have no idea why people think I work everywhere, but here's my collection of encounters. Spoilers, no Karens. I think the first one was at a local hardware-type store. The store uniform is a red shirt paired with black pants. I was wearing one of those yellow fleece jackets with reflective stripes on, and a random man came up to me and asked where he could find this specific item. I of course responded with, "Oh, I don't work here, but you should be able to find them in aisle X." I go there a lot, and no vague locations for most items. He looks a bit embarrassed, thanks me, and scurries off. Then we have the time a lady in a grocery store asked me if they had any skin treatment that did something yada yada. I had no clue and just said, "I don't work here," with big eyes, and she slid away. The store uniform is a checkered shirt with grey cargo pants. I was all black in a hoodie. Then we have the time my mom went to a sporting goods store. Their overall theme was black with green accents. That day I wore my Game Theory t-shirt. That is black with green accents. At the checkout, I left my mom in line and went to stand by the exit as I was feeling a bit cramped with all the people. And as another family finishes their purchase and walks out, they bow their heads at and/or wave at me. Cue me looking totally lost and my mom giggling her ass off at the register. One day at a store where they sell random stuff to a cheaper price, a man came up and wanted help. My people-pleasing ass said, "I don't work here, but I come here daily and might be able to help anyway." He wanted a specific type of plastic box my dad had bought just a week before that, so I knew exactly where he needed to go and walked him there. Later at the register, his wife, who I had seen briefly at the end of the box hunt, was looking for him. We got eye contact and I gestured to the aisle where I had just seen her husband, and out he pops, from said aisle. And then we have the triple one, oh boy. We started the day at this store that rents out shelves so people can sell their old stuff, like a flea market. A lady who spoke little of our language came up to me with a bottle of some sort and gestured to her hair, and so asking if it was shampoo. I read a little and gestured to her arms, "No, it's shower gel." Dad smiling around the corner. Next door to that store we have a fabric store, and I like to sew. As I'm walking around browsing and daydreaming about possible projects, a lady walks up. "Excuse me, do you know... Wait, do you work here?" "Nope, okay, bye," Dad is giggling. An hour or so later, we are at a bigger second-hand store in the city. I've gone to this store for years and usually know exactly what I can expect to find and where. But they had recently moved sections around, so I was a bit lost. Still, a lady comes up to me and asks where she can find an item. "I don't know, they've moved things around and I don't work here." "Oh, sorry about that." "It's okay. The employees should be wearing a name tag and a red lanyard. Look for one of those." And then she went off and I zoomed out. Dad laughing loudly now. We discussed why this might happen to us so often, and the only thing I could think of was how we walk in said stores. Like we know exactly where we are going. Because we kinda do. Well, hope you enjoyed. 3. I run an independent specialty boutique in a major US city. And we get absolutely slammed on the weekends. This story took place a little over a week ago. Me as me, B, a long-term employee, Terry, crazy customer 1, Gina, crazy customer 2. B and I are working the whole day in shift together, and I have her working on a repair that a customer dropped off over the weekend. Of course, the repair was not taken in properly, was undercharged, needed extra materials, etc. So I was a little annoyed. B calls the customer and informs him that it would be an additional $5 for the extra materials. Technically, it should have been $10 cause he was undercharged, but I let it slide. Thankfully, it was a pretty simple job and B was finished shortly. Due to the nature of our work, we often do not put the finishing touches on until the customers pick up their items. This saves us having to completely redo the work, and the customer usually has to wait an extra 5 or 10 minutes while we finish up. Something we always inform them of before coming to pick up their repairs. Anyway, onward to the show. Super slow and quiet day. Man enters the shop. Terry.
"I'm here to pick up my repair."
"Oh yes, we had to replace the whatchamacallit, and it will be an additional $5.
"Why couldn't you reuse the original whatchamacallit?"
"Because the original has some glue stuck in it from the original work, and that made it unable to reuse." Terry seems to accept this. B spends a few moments with him making sure the repair will fit. She sits down and continues the finishing touches.
"I also had a custom order made when I was here this past weekend. and I need to pick it up.
Oh, sure. Find the order, hand it to Terry.
I was so busy in here on Sunday, and I don't understand all these charges.
Terry slaps the receipt on the counter.
Can you explain them to me?
Of course. I plaster on the customer service smile, while inwardly eye-rolling so hard. I'm going to paraphrase here. Terry was overcharged something like $2 or $3 on his custom, but since he was undercharged on the repair, he still owed us a couple of bucks. During this interaction, another woman enters the shop. We're going to call her Gina. Gina walks straight up to the counter while I'm dealing with Terry. I gave what I thought was meaningful eye contact and a "we'll be right with you." Anyone with ears can tell that Terry is a handful. Gina wanders around and after a few minutes must have noticed B in the corner, working diligently away, finishing Terry's repair.
I just have a quick question.
You, Terry, losing his shit.
There's no one in this store of any patience. It was exactly like this last weekend.
Excuse me? There's 2 of them here.
Yeah, and they're both helping me. You can wait.
B stops what she's doing, gets up and starts helping Gina, but she still has Terry's repair in her hand. While B is calming Gina down, I have to run around from behind the counter, grab the repair from her, finish it up, and hustle Terry the hell out of the shop. The whole time while they're still swapping barbs at one another. At this point, I can't even remember what was being said between the two, but Gina kept baiting Terry and provoking him. Like, "Gina girl, give it a rest, you got what you wanted. My staff dropped everything to help you." I finally have Terry sorted, and he even says to me,
You just want me out of your store.
Cue customer service smile. Tell him don't worry about the few extra dollars and send him on his way. He starts walking towards the door, stops, turns around, and in the most nasty voice ever says,
Everyone have a great day. Thanks so much for helping me.
And then proceeds to exit the shop. This, of course, completely sets Gina off again. B and I have to reassure her that Terry is obviously crazy, etc. Soothe that ego. When Gina finally left, I don't even remember her purchasing anything. The whole spectacle lasted maybe 15 minutes. Q, B, and I looking at each other in a now empty shop like, WTF just happened? 4. So, my clothes here are important. I didn't get confused for an employee or a manager, but something way better. I'm wearing a simple black shirt, which has a high collar and grey dress pants, black leather boots, and a nice dark green winter jacket, which I admit makes me look like I have a high-paying job. The shoes and jacket were Christmas gifts from my mother-in-law, and I prefer dress pants over jeans as they're more comfortable to me, and don't rip after 2 days. So, I'm in a big supermarket, minding my own business as I put items I need inside my shopping cart, when suddenly a typical Karen-looking woman taps my shoulder. Can I help you? I have a resting customer service face, so I usually assume people want to ask me something, because I look like a typical helpful lady.
You shouldn't be here.
Excuse me?
This is a store for people who have hard times financially, and thus need things as cheap as possible. You obviously can afford to spend a bit more, so you should just go and buy your groceries elsewhere.
What makes you think I'm not financially struggling?
You're dressed way too nicely. If you were planning on blending with us, you shouldn't wear such high-end clothes.
I'm sorry you think that way, but you shouldn't judge a person for the way they're dressed. These pants, I gesture to my legs, were about 25 euros from Pants R Us. And this shirt, gesturing to my chest, I bought ages ago in the same store for only 5 euros on sales. The boots and jacket were presents for Christmas. I hope this has helped you not to judge people based on clothes. I didn't want to wait for a reply, but just walked off. I didn't notice at first, but this woman started following me around the store as I was continuing my groceries. Now do note, I was doing groceries for an entire month of mostly canned and frozen items, as I'm unable to frequent this store due to it being far away and I've got no personal transportation. Always have to call a friend who is a taxi driver to take me home with my groceries at a discount. After a while, the woman is suddenly right in front of me, blocking my cart. Anything else I can help you with?
Why do you need so much frozen and canned food? You look too young to even have kids to feed. And you can do with eating less yourself.
Now, my weight. I'm somewhat on the chubby side, and doing a lot to lose weight. It's a bit of a sensitive topic to me. But I managed to remain calm and decided to try to just get rid of her. I'm shopping for the whole month at once. I'm unable to frequent this store, so I prefer to do monthly big groceries as soon as I've got my paycheck. Karen didn't move aside, though, but instead decided to place her hands on the cart now, so I couldn't turn it either. Please let go of the cart so I can resume my groceries.
No, I don't think I will. I think you're lying to me.
And why would I lie about this?
You're buying as much cheap groceries as possible so we cannot buy enough for ourselves. You're part of the...
Here she names a sort of local conspiracy about the rich here, wanting the common folks to die out. I cannot help but start laughing out loud now, leaning on the cart as I feel tears of laughter roll down my cheeks. Lady, if I was part of this imaginary group, I wouldn't do this. Everyone knows a big grocery store like this has big shippings of products every week, and never really runs out of anything. Why do you think they always have these deals on things being discounted right before they spoil? Because they always have too much.
I know you are. I'm going to prove it.
At this point, she yells out,
"This woman right here is part of the conspiracy and wants us all to starve."
No one responds to her. A few people look our way, but no one reacts really. Just let me be, no one cares. At this point, an employee arrived, probably due to the yelling.
Can I help?
This woman is trying to kill us all. She wants to buy all the food here so that everyone else has to starve.
This lady is delusional and won't let me resume my shopping, thinking that I'll be able to buy the whole store with my minimum wage paycheck.
Ma'am, please let go of the shopping cart and stop harassing customers. You've put on the same play yesterday and we were already warned by our store manager.
Karen splutters something, obviously not happy she didn't get the support she wanted, and lets go of my cart. She gives me the stink eye before storming out of the store, quickly apprehended by more employees, because she had not checked out her own groceries yet that were in the basket on her arm. I didn't care to know what happened after that, but just finished my groceries and am right now waiting for my taxi friend to take me home, where I will be planning my next strike to get all the cheap food for the entire country in my possession. 5. Okay, for a bit of context. I work for a chain of stores that sells clothing, homewares, and food. I work in one of the stores that is a food hall only, but customers can order clothing and homeware items online and have them sent to our store to pick up. In there, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. I'll often work the click and collect desk and fill shelves, but 9 times out of 10, I do the food reductions. Food items going out of date that day will get reduced to about 85 to 90% of their original price first thing in the morning. Then they'll get reduced again at about 2 p.m. to about 50% of their original price by me. Our food is pretty decent, but also pretty pricey, so as you can imagine, I often accumulate a fan club that follow me around the store. Because of this, our store policy is to not reduce things that are handed to us by customers. We take them off the shelf, reduce it, and it goes back onto the shelf, that's it. Folk will always still try and chance their arm, though. It's shocking the amount of times things have been grabbed out of my hands. This policy is mainly for the staff members. It's more efficient as we're not wasting time reducing a Karen's entire trolley of bargains as she's piled up. That, and it stops customers arguing with us, accusing us of favoritism and all that. They will still argue with each other, though, and that is always entertaining. Okay, so to the Karen in question. She is a sweet old lady with a walking stick that comes into the store with her husband. She is a regular that knows a lot of the staff and is lovely and chatty to them. Not me, though. For some godforsaken reason, she doesn't like me. I'm not blowing my own trumpet or anything, but I'm a very pleasant member of staff. I'm always smiley, helpful, and cheerful, even to the customers that don't really deserve it. So she always seems to start ridiculous, silly arguments with me. On one occasion, she came to me at Click and Collect for her parcel. Unfortunately, it was delayed, which can often happen when there's sales on or it's Christmas and they get backed up with orders. I explained this to her when she started to get enraged, that her order that she wanted to pick up today was not here today. Every time I explain company policy, store policy, reasons for issues, she always barks the same thing at me.
I know, I used to work at another branch of this store.
Which I never understand, because if she knows, then why is she yelling at me?
Are you reducing this again? Gonna do this one for me?
Oh, I'm sorry, I can only reduce things that I find on the shelf.
I'm not putting it on the shelf. It's the only one. Someone will take it.
Sorry, it's up to you if you would like to do that. Old Karen huffs at me and turns to her husband.
Go and get Kevin to do it.
Kevin is one of my colleagues that recently came from another store that OK is chatty with. If Kevin comes to me with that item to reduce, he is politely getting told where to go. I continue with my route around the store. I'm coming down an aisle when I see OK poking her head around the corner watching me. They've put the microwave meal back on the shelf, but they are now guarding it until I get there. Unfortunately for them, the aisle was full of reductions and I was in no rush.
Excuse me,
She's yelling down the aisle at me now.
are you coming here next?
I'm making my way around this store. I'll be at that fridge in about 5 to 10 minutes. She wasn't happy with this. She made sure her husband was stationed protecting the microwave meal and came marching towards me.
Do you know you're the only one in here that refuses me?
I'll have to let management know that, but I'm sorry, it's store policy.
I know. I used to work in another branch. I know all about the policy. You think you'd be decent and see that I'm poorly and need to get home. I can't stand around for a long time waiting on you.
I'm sorry, but I can't do it for you and not everyone else. That's not fair.
No, it's not fair that I have to stand around here waiting in a cold shop when I just want to go home.
I'm sorry, but you don't have to wait. It's still reduced. It's still a nice wee bargain. Keep in mind that as a retired ex-employee, she still gets a 20% staff discount on top of this reduction. So it will still be a wee bargain for her. She marches back to her husband. I calm my bubbling anger and continue down the aisle. If you're wondering why I don't just break policy like other staff, well, I have done it once and was immediately caught and scolded by management. I do this job 5 to 7 days a week, so the others that rarely do it never get caught. That I'm hoping to train the customers like puppies. If I consistently say no, they'll eventually learn. That's the hope. When I finally get to the fridge being guarded by the old couple, I think, right, I'll do their item first to get them out of my face. But I can't see it in the fridge, and I'll tell you why. OK is sitting in the fridge. Yep, her whole entire ass is in the fridge. She's too delicate to be in the cold shop any longer, but she's fine to sit in a fridge. And unbeknownst to me, her meal that she desperately wants is actually under her ass, and I'm not going to start rummaging around for it. I reduce the other items that I can see and start to move on.
Are we getting this or not?
She barks at me. She stands up and points at the meal she'd been keeping warm. I'm sorry, I didn't see it there. I reduce it and put it back on the shelf, and she snatches it up. Just be careful sitting on the fridges like that. The fridge edges aren't very strong, and you could have fallen and hurt yourself.
And whose fault would that have been?
And she stomped off. I swiftly had a rant at management to better train the other staff that handle reductions, because I should not be getting treated like that for following store policy. Management agreed with me, but I know full well that nothing will get done about it. However, my reason for posting is that old Karen was in the store again today, stomping around with her reduced meal, looking for whoever was doing reductions today. It was me. Upon seeing me with my trolley, she stopped and stared at me. I gave her a friendly smile. She glared back at me before stomping up to the till to buy her unreduced item. Turns out you can train customers like puppies. Ruff. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 86. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use and sent in stories for use in this video. When does this go up? Oh, Wednesday, that's right. Okay, good. I don't know which store the story with the angry lady that thought the customer was rich and buying up all the bargains from poor people was set in. I do know that's kind of a thing that happens in my country. Or, well, not buying up all the bargains and stealing food from people, no, that sort of thing. That's nonsense, of course. I mean, people should be allowed to shop wherever they want to shop. But I do know that in the UK, we have Aldi in the UK. We should have them all over the world. But it's a thing in the UK where you'll get people who are quite well-to-do, quite wealthy people, sneaking into Aldi with their like Waitrose bags and bags from more expensive stores, and doing the shopping in there while nervously looking about them, hoping that their friends and neighbors don't see them. Which is odd, because surely if their friends and neighbors did see them, it would mean they were in there too, but well, whatever. Okay, and with that I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.